Hello and welcome everybody to the Beacon of Light podcast. This evening, we are so excited to have with us the author Nancy Lee Gerson. And before we start talking to her, we're going to jump into this and really get jumping into a whole bunch more.
I'm April Tribe Juke. Welcome to the Beacon of Light podcast. I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts now.
And we are back. So, welcome everybody. Hello, Jan. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast this evening. And we are excited to have Miss Nancy Gerson here this evening. And she is going to show and share many great things tonight. So, many of you probably read about the blog and some of the information that she shared. And she really sticks to something that is built on a faith, built on a grace, and flowing, allowing herself to kind of flow as things take her. And that takes a lot of faith to do because so many of us love this control. And like you can see when we posted this is, can one thing change your life to the point that where you move 1,800 miles for it? That's a big move and everything. And so I'm sure Nancy's going to share some of that story and all of that. So before we talk about much more, Nancy, introduce yourself and share a little bit about where you're from.
I will. Thank you for having me. And I just love how easily praise and good cheer just emanates from you. It always does, April. You really are a beacon. You really are. So, um, again, my name's Nancy Lee Gerson. April and I met through a particular channel, and it's my book. I get to hold it up already because it's really how we met. It's my book, The Horse Who Changed My Life, My Serendipitous Journey Through Equus. It's a memoir, and something about it struck April, and we've talked together a few different times. And I thought tonight, I love, let me back up a little and say the essay that you asked me to write, April, in the run up to this was a beautiful contemplation. I can't even call it an essay or a blog. It turned out to be a spiritual contemplation for me. And the way I'm going to talk tonight will probably be different than any other book interviews I've given, thanks to you asking me to take some time to write that.
Oh, you are so welcome because sometimes in reflection, it is like those reflection pools where I think about Washington, D.C. and the large mall and thinking about the amount of how water reflects light, reflects it back into us, draws up emotion, draws up powerful memories. And through that, life finds such amazing faith and joy, and it just makes everything worth living. So I'm excited to jump more into this.
I mean, we could have a whole talk about water and I was taught that it represents the emotion of love. And when you think about all the ways that water just falls from us, from our eyes with tears of joy or sorrow, that's a whole other topic. So maybe have me back on. We can talk about the emotions and water.
Right, exactly. So you see a beautiful horse painting behind her, which her daughter did. I know that. And so it's beautiful. All things kind of horses here this evening, but it's not because that is the sole focus. This kind of led her to really change her life. And so share with us about how the book started, like where the story started in order for you then to want to capture it and put it down on paper.
Yeah. Well, this is where the contemplation essay took me in a new direction. It was 12 years ago that my life with horses started, and I've talked about it a lot. I've written about it in the memoir, a few book interviews, and I tend to talk about it in terms of the serendipities and the synchronicities that all presented themselves to me and led me to this life with horses. But tonight, something different came through with that reflection. I thought about faith and certainty as the twin graces that led me to that life with horses. So I think the most important thing for all of us to do is show up, honor the messages that we get as best we can, whether we're certain what they mean or not, and just show up. What I discovered is that sometimes faith was present when the decision was getting made. Sometimes certainty was present. Sometimes one followed the other. Sometimes it seemed like there was faith and certainty all rolled in together. And it was just a beautiful flow. The way it all began was I had gone on a guitar 4-day master class with guitar work. I came home and I was practicing some of the techniques I was taught, and this song came through about a horse. I've never dreamt about horses. Had never owned a horse. I wasn't the little girl who wanted the horse, but this song came through called Spirit Ride. It was written in a half hour, April. The chords, the lyrics, and the refrain was, if I may, it's short. The refrain was, saddle up your spirit, ride high and free and true. Saddle up your spirit, that pulsing joy is you. Saddle up your spirit, the winnings in the ride. Saddle up your spirit, no need to stem the tide. That was the refrain that flew out of me, along with a couple of verses. 2 weeks later, I decided to go to the computer to look for a retreat. And I kid you not, I didn't look for horse retreats. I looked for women's retreats, silent retreats, nature retreats. And what popped up was a women's horse riding retreat, exactly in the 1 week time frame that I had to get away. They had 2 spots left, and there I went for 5 days in Colorado, and I was from New York. I went there. I just had faith. So that was just faith that was meant to be. We get there, and we're asked to put our little hoof up as to whether we have a lot of riding experience or a little riding experience. And somehow this hand went up for the advanced group. I really was not an advanced rider. I don't know, somehow the hoof went up, and there was certainty there. That was certainty. So already the dance is going on. The head of the program there, the retreat, trusted that, put me on Cherokee, the horse who changed my life. It wasn't very long before I discovered that he was a very fast horse. Some people use the expression a lot of horse. He was a lot of horse. Guess what came in? Faith. It was 5 days with this horse, and he kept wanting to go fast, jump to the front of the wrangler's line, and I had faith that he would take care of me. I also had another piece of faith that just occurred to me. The wrangler suggested not holding on to the horn on the saddle. He suggested just to have faith that the horse will keep you steady. If you're upright, your legs have a good grip. And I had faith. I had faith in that instruction, even though it was counterintuitive to everything every fiber in my body wanted to hold that horn. But I had faith, and I was kept safe. And then on about the 3rd day of the retreat, I was standing with Cherokee and a couple of horses under a tree. All the other women had disbanded, taking off to different places for little contemplations. And I'm standing with Cherokee, and all of a sudden I start crying into the side of his neck. The tears just came. And I heard very clearly the words, "You're okay." Just like that, "You're okay." I didn't even know at that point to call that an interspecies telepathic communication. I didn't know that. I hadn't learned that yet. But I had faith that I really had heard those words, and a certainty. So that when I was having, again, this essay, it just really got very deep for me. And I realized that was a time when faith and certainty were both there. Couldn't see one without the other. And And then the next day, the fourth day, almost the end of the retreat, we went back up to another part of the Indian Reservoir, part of the Roosevelt National Forest in Colorado. And I was meditating under a ponderosa tree. We were asked to just again dismount and take some quiet time. And I closed my eyes. I have a mantra, so I was meditating. And all of a sudden, and this was certainty with a capital C, I knew I'm going to move to Colorado and live with Cherokee. That was a big, big certainty. Okay. Within 4 months, it was done. I was in Colorado with Cherokee. But the interim period had a lot of practical steps. And that's, guess what? Faith. I had to have faith that the money would be there to buy the horse. Well, that the owner of the horse would say yes to selling him to me, have money to buy him, have money to rent a property in Colorado, give up a law practice. So all of that was a lot of faith in there. And then I got out to Colorado, and I think I'll just pause there because you might like to say something, but it just those were the twin graces that I reflected upon, the twin graces of my spiritual relationship with my horses.
Well, the idea and concept about acting on faith, the step for you was through horses. The step for many people, the step into faith is the part of the focus. Because no matter what you might be looking for, or praying for, or asking the universe for, whatever it is, it still takes an amount to release whatever you think you have control over. Ha ha ha. You got to release that and take the step.
Yeah.
I think I know I've probably shared this in another one, but from a movie, it's kind of silly, right? And Indiana Jones, the third one,
Yes.
when he's going off, right? And he just steps into the abyss and he catches the bridge. One of my favorite parts is after he gets across, he turns back, tosses a little bit of dirt just to kind of see where it's at,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a part of our life. Sometimes we turn back and toss just a little bit
Yeah.
for a memory, for a certainty, for a knowledge.
Yeah.
No, I experienced that, and I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah.
And life pops up trying to erase it, right? No,
Yep.
you didn't have that. No, 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 no. Or doubt, right? Doubt comes in and like, oh, was that real? Maybe it wasn't. I wasn't. No. Look back at the little bridge with the sprinkling of dust on it. No, that really happened.
Yeah.
It was really happened. It was true for you. And for
Yeah.
you, that focus in that reflection came through the horse and the faith. And you say the grace. It's a lot of different ways to take action in order to live. And when we do that, what was your experience in following all of those practical steps to find yourself, wow, I now live in Colorado, Mountain Standard Time. Wow. Right?
Yeah. Well, I have a background in spiritual pursuits. That seems like a big phrase, but if I've learned anything in 60 plus years, it's that, false modesty and like being coy about having done the inner work doesn't really serve anyone. And certainly, that you're a beacon of light. You know that the more people who are doing their inner work, honoring divine spirit, divine wisdom, creator as they hold the creator to be, the better the world is. And the more we proclaim that we've done inner work and that we've honored divine spirit, the better. So I will say that I was on a spiritual path for a couple of decades before I even got to Colorado and to a life with horses. So I think I was destined to be actually more interested in my spiritual relationship with the horses than the riding. The riding piece actually fell away. I don't want to give away the whole book's arc, but I'm very comfortable letting everybody know that the spiritual relationship with the herd, animal communication, practicing Reiki with them because I'm Reiki 2 attuned, all the spiritual things have were more meaningful to me than whether I mastered the leg lead and the neck direct reining and neck reining and move the hindquarters it's the spirit that really gets my juices going. I love to love my
Awesome.
horses, and I love my horses to love me.
Yeah, there is that piece of, when it just kind of resonates that we all have a spirit within us, from the blade of grass to the larger and the small, and there's a connection there. It's why we resonate with such greatness and with beauty. John has something really interesting here. He says that
Yes.
for some people who have trouble with the word faith, could they use the word choose? Because when we choose to do something, we're engaging in faith, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And John just reminds me of something. So thank you, John. I I was told this once somewhere in Colorado. Somebody said something to me, and I've remembered it and passed it along a lot, even within the last week. That the step between 0 and 1 is immense, and how I take that to mean it's the choosing, John, or the faith to take the first step. I happen to think that's where grace comes in, how I hold grace to be. Um, until you take that first step, there's no choice. There's no getting out of abusive situations. There's no getting to live your dream life, whatever it could be. That that minuscule and yet at the same time enormous first step from 0 to 1. Um, it's I can barely put words to how deeply I feel about the grace when that comes. It's not given to us as a guarantee that we will take our first steps, all of us. So when we have the courage and when we're fortified by a belief in God, a belief in choice, whatever one believes in, wherever strength comes from, that's a little miracle every time we're fortified to make the first step. I'm just going on a bit about it, but I feel very deeply about that.
I appreciate that. And John says, beautifully stated,
Oh, thank you, John.
because it allows hope to do there. You have a hope, you have a belief, you have a wonder. Okay, I'm going to try. Oh, I'm okay.
Yeah,
And it just and you have to go simple and realize, okay, I'm okay. I didn't fall. We're okay. And and as the next steps come, sometimes we get like really excited or aggressive or whatever, and we run and then we fall and skin our knees. But we're still okay. We're
yeah,
still okay. Those things can be patched, and then we can maybe sit and put the band-aid on our knees and reflect a little bit and
yeah,
remember, okay, maybe I could change up a few things, but not to quit and to keep pursuing forward. So I like how you brought in the piece about abuse or mistreatment. We as humanity, we can be amazingly good, but we can really stink. And there's choices everywhere, and how we respond to things, and we could quote oh gosh, millions of different types of stories and books and people from the past and people right now who have these moments. And it's important to remember that whatever the moment, whatever the lesson, whatever the faith that caused this learning to come about, it's available for everyone.
yeah.
But you have to step.
You have to step. And I don't think I mentioned this before, but I got certified as an equine Gestalt coach, kind of life coaching, transformational coaching in partnership with your horses. There are people doing phenomenal work with their horses in many different niches for PTSD folks, for abused women or men, for women in transition in midlife, for people in transition in many other ways. There's something about getting with the horse and that frequency, that huge 1,000-pound creature with big, big heart and the calmest serenest energy when they feel safe. When a horse feels safe, there is no more grounded feeling than standing next to them. And sometimes people who can't talk about a terrible trauma that's still living in their body, in their soul, in their heart, it starts to leach out. Starts to leach out. Just standing beside a horse, walking in a round pen beside a horse. And horses know, April. They know when people are getting up into their head and telling stories, or whether they're in their truth, coming from the heart. I have seen video footage. I kid you not. Why would I kid you? I've seen video of horses who, I don't think I tried this with my horses, but I saw a woman, the woman who certified me as an equine coach. She filmed a woman walking in the round pen with a horse, not her own horse. It was the head of the program's horse, and she asked the woman to circle around, thinking about her children and feeling all the love she felt for her children. And the horse immediately came from the center of the ring where they both had been standing. The woman went out to the perimeter of the inside of the round pen. The horse immediately buttonholed around and stayed just off of her inside shoulder, circling around, circling around. And this is the video. Then she had the woman stop, and she asked the woman to turn the other way, I guess counterclockwise, and have math problems in her head. Start calculating mathematical problems, however simple or convoluted, but math problems. I want to tell you, she starts walking. The horse did not go with her. It didn't go with her. Then she had the woman stop again, turn back around, come back to thinking about, guess who? Her beloved children, have a very, very vivid image of something quite emotional that happened with her children. And you know where the horse went, right? Buttonholed around, came onto the woman's inside shoulder, and started circling around. The woman gave the head of the program permission to film that. So it was just a magnificent thing to see. I did do a coaching piece with one of my own clients where my horse just stopped walking, and I asked the client what was going on in her head. Usually I stay silent, but it was so notable. The horse just stopped, and she said she had started to think about something. And that's just my little simple example of how it's not just special horses who can do this work. Your very own horses, if they're interested in partnering with you to do healing work, they'll do it. They don't have to be special horses. They don't really have to be specially trained. The other thing, though, that a lot of people won't say in the coaching world, I'm going to say it, not every horse necessarily wants to partner and do healing work, do coaching work. Just like people, not every person wants to be involved in the healing arts. So I believe that we need to honor the horse as a sentient being. If they don't want to do that, if they don't show much interest, let them do something else. Let them be. Let them nibble the grass. Yeah, I've kind of
Yeah.
covered a few different things here.
I love it. And John asks, and he lives in the Ohio area, is there a way to find such a
Yes.
horse therapy within, different areas?
Did he say? I could have sworn you said Ohio, but I just see. I
He
don't see.
does. He lives in Ohio. I know that because I know John and he's amazing.
Yeah.
But where I wouldn't dare say he's in the state boundary of Ohio. That's all
I
I know.
actually know. I know a woman in Lebanon, Ohio, who does do some of this work, and there's probably others, but I particularly know one woman. She does equine therapy, and she's also an animal communicator in Lebanon. And if John wants to reach out to me, I can probably find out other Ohioans as well. Be my privilege to do that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think so many people have really just kind of been touched this evening. The concept about following in your faith allows the dreams to happen. Following with the grace of taking the step is really, really important. And John says, "Hey, look at that! He's
Oh,
in
okay.
Kettering, right outside of Dayton." All right, so I
Perfect.
know I know nothing, but hey, there you are. I
Can't be
think that's
that big.
wonderful. So the piece about reflection moving forward, we've got a new year ahead of us, and a lot of people um kind of it's a great time to find that spirituality. It's a great time, anytime can, but it's kind of that time where we turn over the new leaf and try to think about something that might have been different or we might have missed, or that we just want to do something new. So hopefully this conversation has really helped. Now I want to come over to her book again,
Oh, good.
and she has something kind of shiny that she's going to hold up there.
Ooh, thank you. It's an award.
That's right. This is the
Yay.
Winnie Award
Yeah.
Equus Film and Art Festival. I'm assuming Fest.
Yeah.
And so, did you submit your book, or was it submitted by somebody
Yeah.
else?
I did submit it, and I asked that it be placed in the category of equine spirituality. If I was going to win an award in their festival, that would really have been my heart's delight. And sure enough, the award is in the category of, they're calling it this year, equine inspiration and spirituality. So, yeah, that was the category that I would love to have had an award in. And indeed, there it is.
There you can see it. It's wonderful, wonderful. I love it. Yes, congratulations. And I
Thank you,
agree.
Tom.
I
Thank
agree.
you.
I think it's wonderful that the concept about putting out your book and for others to read is fantastic. And now, like on purpose, you're like, here, judges. Okay, here we go. And regardless of what happens, look at that step of faith, right?
Yeah,
Okay, let's try this out. And
yeah,
why not hope? I would love it to win this. Sure. Will
yeah,
it always happen? Um, the timing is presented with certainty when it needs to. So why
yeah.
not try? Because it might be the time, right?
And the other thing is, once the arrow has been released, I don't tend to worry too much. Our embodiments have their strengths and their weaknesses. God love, I was going to say God love us, but God does love us. I know that. Um, we have our strengths, our weaknesses, the things that trigger us, the things that don't. We're just a big mishmash of humanity trying our best. For me, I don't worry too much once the arrow has been shot. Once the book was published and marketing had to come around, sure. Once the book was submitted for the award, then I don't worry too much. There's so much else in life. I have horses and cats and elderly parents, and I'm writing a new book, which the first draft is just about done for. So once you shoot that arrow, then it's in divine spirit's hands.
Exactly. Well, if there's anything that we'd love to share with you this evening, is that you all have light. You all have something that can resonate. And as we stand in front of each other, we are not adding our light together. We're actually reflecting one another's light to make it stretch even further, the way a lighthouse does. We are each other's mirrors and reflections and lenses. And with that, we're only one candle power in strength. But as we come together and circle and support each other, that one candle power can reach out for over 20 miles, just like the lighthouse. And in this evening of the spirituality and understanding of really whatever it is that you focus in on, I encourage you, as I'm sure Nancy does, take that faith with grace and make the steps and do something new in 2023. New for you. It doesn't have to be grand, small, big, or it can be, but something that you've been wanting, thinking about, hoping for. You have to take the step to make that change. We're around to support you and help to amplify you as that little light of one power candle to see what it can do. No matter what, the animals, the people we communicate with, there is really just love, and it shines out in that light. So, Nancy, thank you so much for being a part of this evening. And thank you, John. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, everybody else who's popped up. And for all those who will see the replay, we wish you a wonderful rest of your week. And we hope to see you again next week in the Beacon of Light podcast. We'll see you all soon.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Namaste.